love about the 3-day weekends is that you really get a chance to immerse yourself in the energy and meet lots of great people and feel the community of energy that this all represents. I'm April Rochelle from Bashar Communications, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this experience. Tonight's session is entitled 2019 Crossing the Threshold. And it's the year of decision and revelation. And so what tonight is going to be about is kind of preparing us for 2019, because it looks like it might be kind of a rocky road coming up. So Bashar's going to spend some time with us talking about how to prepare for the coming year, and also consciously aligning with the balance point within yourself so you can ride the rapids in a balanced way. It's so exciting to see so many people here that want to experience this energy firsthand. So, is everybody ready? Okay. All right, so it is my great pleasure to bring to you the very talented channel for Bashar, Daryl Enka. Okay, now has everybody got their seatbelts on? Ready for the ride? I'm ready.
Click.
Okay. Yeah, you stay where you are. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Daryl, for you and Bashar opening up this doorway to a new reality.
My pleasure. Thank you, April. All right, everyone. Have a good time. See you later. And it'll say, how are you all this evening of your time, as you know time to exist. All right. All right, thank you for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. Let us begin this transmission, as we have titled it, 2019, the Crossing of the Threshold, the Year of Decision and Revelation. Now, obviously, since your fall of 2016, when we told you everything would change, you have been experiencing a lot of continued changes in a variety of levels, sociologically, politically, economically, physically. All sorts of things are beginning to come to the surface. 2019, as we perceive the energy, most probably will be an acceleration of that energy. But there are specific things, specific categories, specific areas in which these things will begin to unfold. First and foremost, as has begun to happen on your planet, as has begun to happen in your society and around the globe, there will be more and more secrets that were hidden coming to the surface. Things are no longer capable of hiding like they used to. Things will be revealed. You will be able to gauge more clearly what you do prefer by seeing the comparison of what you don't prefer. These things will be out front, center, so that you can decide together what direction you are going in. With the revelation of secrets, things that have been hiding, there will also come what we call more breakups and shakeups. The idea being that not only will you see certain ideas in your society begin to break apart, disassemble, so that new ones can take their place, but the idea of what may seem on the surface to simply be different ideologies are actually, as we have said, representative of different parallel realities that are now beginning to split physically upon your planet. That physical splitting into different parallel tracks will also have a continued effect upon your physical planet, sometimes in the form of an increase in the probability of quakes, volcanoes, and other things that would be indicative of things rending asunder, so that you can by taking those old systems apart, begin to find places to build new systems to replace them. More of this will be occurring in 2019. But all of this is for the purpose of giving yourself an opportunity to learn how to balance in the rapids that you're riding so that you can better prepare for what is to come in 2020 and beyond. For things will be radically shifting again at that point. Now, the idea of aligning, balancing, of revealing hidden things, bringing them to the forefront so you can work together to decide what it is you prefer your reality to be will help you align with the track, the vibration, the frequency of the parallel reality that will guide you into the future Earth that you prefer. Because remember, all those Earths already exist right now, right here. Every single variant, every variable already exists. And by the state of being that you create for yourselves, individually and together, you shift yourselves to those realities that are much more reflective of those you prefer to experience, bit by bit, day by day. While those who are on a different frequency in a different parallel reality will experience an acceleration in their reality, their version of Earth as well. And for a while, you may still be able to view each other through the glass of the parallel reality barriers that separate you. But more and more, day by day, year by year, you will find that those realities that are not vibrationally compatible with what you prefer will begin to disappear from the reality that you shift yourself to. So stay on course, allow yourself, by acting on your passion to the best you can with no insistence on the outcome, to allow that to act as your navigational rudder, as your compass needle, pointing you in the direction of the reality you really prefer to experience. Now, as has been said, in connection with the understanding that things might get a little bit more shaky, a little bit more breaky, as you say, this entire transmission, this weekend of your time, will be for the purpose of creating stabilization within yourselves, within your being. For tomorrow's transmission, the hour of power meditation, we will not be taking you through it, but we will instruct how you can do it on your own. But it will be for the purpose of creating a more stable energy in your reality and inner peace within your being. It is a very powerful, profound permission slip meditation to allow you to feel, to get in touch with your indestructible core, so that you know that no matter what is going on around you, you will be the eye of that chaos, the calm, peaceful, indestructible eye of that storm. And you can allow those things to circle around you, knowing that they can have no effect on you in a detrimental way. And continuing with that idea, on your Sunday transmission with Willa Hilla Chrissing, the hybrid from the future of Earth, bringing through more understanding of how you can connect to your nature, to nature itself, to yourself as an expression and an extension of nature, and being able to communicate with different facets and expressions of nature, such as the plant kingdom, the rock kingdom, the animal kingdom, so on and so forth. More fully, with more connection, more awareness, more consciousness in those communications. You will find yourselves digging your own roots deep into the ground to stabilize you to your natural connections so that you can ride out the waves, ride out the storm that is sure to continue in the coming year. But also, aside from what Willa will do to instruct you in becoming the first level of cryptic, as you practice this and go through the 5 levels of mastery eventually that she will bring through, this being the first, the level of cryptic, connecting to nature, reading nature, communing with nature, really receiving and sending information. She will give you a lot of information as to how to do this more consciously. But along with that, Willa has told us that she has a surprise announcement for you all that will be quite startling. So we will leave it to her in your Sunday transmission with her to find out what that announcement is, what that surprise shall be. We believe you will find it quite startling. All of this All of this is to help you create the momentum necessary to stay the course, to rely upon your connection to your higher minds and your indestructible core of being as aspects of creation. This is something that can become not second nature to you, but first nature. You can unlearn everything that you have learned that has nothing at all to do with who you do not prefer to be. For that is all it is learning. You can let it go and relearn and remember who you really are in your essence, at your core, and live that life that reflects it and represents it, that will allow you to shift and shift and shift and shift more and more and more into the versions of Earth that you prefer to experience. 2019 is a 3-year, and it is the 3rd year after the fall of 2016. 2016, numerologically, was a 9, the end of a cycle. But now, a 3 years after the end of a cycle, will be a very powerful year energetically for you to lock into, to synchronize, harmonize with, and experience more and more synchronicity. Even as you watch things coming apart at the seams all around you in a variety of ways, and secrets bubbling to the surface all around you, and see more and more representations of perhaps the realities you don't prefer all around you. Remember, you are your own reality. You are stable within that state. You are your own bubble of experience. And even though you can connect, and even though you can observe, you cannot be affected by that which you do not agree to be affected by, vibrationally, energetically, in your belief systems, in your knowingness about who and what you prefer to be. Does that make sense? All right. Making sure you're all awake. We thank you for allowing us to begin the transmission this day of your time and continuing for the next 2 days for stabilization, for centering, and for the creation of inner peace within each of your hearts, your souls, your spirits, your minds. In return for the gift you have given us in experiencing each and every one of you, we ask now, how may we be of service? Please begin with your dialogues and questions if you wish.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
I'm very happy to meet you.
And you as well.
I honestly didn't have a question and I didn't want to be asked up. So
You can make a statement. You don't have to have a question to dialogue with us.
do you have a reason why you asked me to come here?
Will there be anything in this interaction that will allow you to give yourself more permission to be more of who you are?
Yes.
Then that is why. Because that is the most important thing you can possibly be. And that will make all the difference in your world and the world. Because when you are the piece you were made to be, you fit with all the other pieces and create the big puzzle picture that can support the whole.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right. Anything else?
I honestly couldn't think of a question. I've just been pulled up here.
Are you acting on your highest passion to the best you can with no insistence on the outcome every possible moment that you can?
Not
yes
every
or no?
possible moment.
Why not?
Life.
What does that mean? Life does not prevent you from doing that. You
Life
prevent you
sometimes
from doing that.
drags you in different directions.
No, it does not. You do.
Yeah.
By holding on to beliefs that drag you in directions you don't prefer to go. So the question would be why? How does it serve you to hold on to something that you don't prefer? Because you wouldn't hold on to it if you didn't believe that it served you somehow. So that must mean you have a belief that what you don't prefer serves you. Find out what that belief is and let it go, and you will then drag yourself, actually, you will escort yourself in new directions. It's as simple as that. It all comes down to what you believe to be true. If you're going in a direction you don't prefer, the first thing to look for is the belief that is taking you in that direction, because it has to come down to what you believe to be true. So if you're not going in a direction you prefer, that must mean you're holding on to a belief you don't prefer to hold on to. Find out why you would do so.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Does this help you?
That does help. Thank you.
All right. Will that do?
That will do.
Why,
Thank
you very much.
Bashar.
You may now drag yourself back to your seat.
Hi.
And a good day.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
I have just one question.
Yes.
If you have any message for me.
We have been giving all of you messages. Do you have a message for yourself?
I don't know.
Sure you do. Do you want me to ask you the same question I just asked the other person?
Yes, please.
Are you acting on your highest passion every moment that you can to the best you can with no insistence on a particular outcome? Yes or no?
I believe so.
You hesitated a bit.
Yes.
Why did you hesitate? You weren't sure?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Thank you for your honesty. And in those times when you don't act on your highest passion, why don't you? What fear gets in the way?
Yes.
What fear gets in the way?
I am not good enough, maybe?
Maybe?
Yeah.
You're not good enough. Good enough for what? Good enough to be you? Who else can be you? No one else is good enough to be you. You're the best at it. So how can you not be good enough to be you? Does that make sense?
Yes.
No, it doesn't. Are you willing to be more and more of who you truly prefer to be?
Yes.
So what is stopping you from acting on your passion every moment that you can?
I believe I am doing it. I feel a little bit stuck sometimes.
Then you're not doing it, or you wouldn't feel stuck. So when something changes that you don't expect, doesn't go the way you thought, that's not necessarily something you have to define as being stuck. Why would you define it in a negative way instead of saying, this is interesting. Maybe something is pointing me in a direction I didn't expect, but that doesn't mean I'm stuck. Why not start practicing giving everything a positive definition instead of a negative one, which only allows you to experience it in a negative way? What about that idea? Does that sound like a good idea? Does that sound like something you would prefer to do instead of giving it a negative definition? Yes?
Yes.
Is that something you're willing to do?
Yes.
All right. Does that not feel exciting?
Yes.
All right. Anything else?
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
It is our deep appreciation to you that allows this conversation to happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good day. Please understand how important, how crucial, how critical that formula is. It is the fundamental formula for most of the questions many of you have within your lives. If you act on your highest passion, you are responding to your body's translation of messages from your own higher mind. That's how your body translates communication from your higher mind, as that sensation of passion, excitement, love, creativity. That's its way of communicating with you to let you know this thing that contains all of this excitement in it, all this passion in it, is who you really are. Act on it, and you will be in alignment with who you truly are, with your core frequency. When you respond in kind, when you act on it, you're answering your higher mind. You're saying, yes, I heard you, and I am willing to believe you. I am willing to trust that you're guiding me by giving me this communication in this form. And when you go through it to the best you can, acting however it is possible for you to act within integrity, and doing it with no insistence on the outcome, because you have to realize you actually do not know what the best outcome for you might be. You really don't know. You might think you know, but you don't. You actually don't. Sometimes you might make what's called a lucky guess, but you really don't know what the next thing is that needs to happen, that you need to experience in order to actually take you where you prefer to go. So by dropping the insistence on what you think is supposed to be the outcome of your actions, on your excitement, you are admitting that you don't really know what that is supposed to look like. You're creating a space for whatever the higher mind needs to bring you that is the thing it needs to bring you. And you are allowing yourself to realize that insistence on a particular outcome is actually a limitation on the outcome, because the higher mind is capable of bringing you something far greater than your physical mind is capable of imagining. So don't hamstring your higher mind by insisting that it's got to look like this or something's wrong. The higher mind knows how to guide you. Let it work in concert with it. Be partners in that experience. It knows what you need. Trust it to guide you. Do continue.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My question is, as we're going through this transition
Yes.
and as we're going through this change,
Yes.
obviously we're going to be going through a physical transformation as well as a emotional, mental, spiritual one as well.
Absolutely, because physical reality is just a projection of consciousness too.
Yes. So is there anything that we can do to facilitate our physical change, which will then facilitate change in all of those other factors as well?
At the risk of sounding redundant, perhaps I was not clear. When you act on your passion to the best you can with no insistence on the outcome, what happens? You raise your actual energy frequency. When you raise your energy frequency, you become a more receptive antenna to higher energy information. And when you become a more receptive antenna to higher energy information, it rewires you neurologically to accept that information, which means it changes you physically too. Because when you are in that state, it is a perfect state that contains everything that's relevant for you, and it leaves nothing out, including the physical changes that need to occur that would have to go along with it in order for you to continue to experience the acceleration of your excitement and your passion. Yes?
True, but
So
aren't
it's
we
all interconnected.
But isn't it interconnected? So then also the state of our physical being, the state of the communal consciousness is also affecting where our belief systems are, where our
Only
consciousness are.
insofar as you agree with it. Only insofar as your belief system aligns with it. It can't affect you at all if you don't agree to align with it.
But matter takes longer to change than anything else.
That's a belief. It's not a fact, it's a belief. Right? Are you familiar with some of the medical tests that were done in your planet with regard to what you call multiple personalities, and how one personality actually exhibited certain physical traits that another personality did not?
Yes.
Instantaneous transformation. Didn't take long, did it?
No.
Now, I'm not saying it might not require some time, but the time it requires means that that's the process you believe you require to go through it in order to fully appreciate the change that you're creating. You can reduce that process as much as you possibly can. Whatever amount of time is left for that process is the time you actually need to be able to appreciate the change when it happens and handle it in the way that's best for you. But it can be accelerated. Just the idea itself that just because it's material means it takes longer is not in and of itself a fact. It's a belief system. It might be a belief system that might have some necessity, but it's still just a belief system. And you can reduce it. You can accelerate it.
So you can travel with your body on your planet.
We can.
Yeah. And that's where we're going?
Eventually.
Great. Great.
Anything else?
No, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
It's very nice to be with you.
And you as well.
Thank you. I learned a lot from you already. I've only been listening to you for a couple of months.
All right.
But I really liked the part you talked about one time about how my future self is communicating with me and guiding me.
Yes.
And I didn't know a lot about that. I'd love to hear more. I feel like I get a lot of information all throughout my day that's very helpful.
Yes, of course.
And I follow it.
Because you have guides in your higher mind and
Yes.
so on and so forth, and other connections that you're downloading information from.
Yes. Can you tell me more, though, about, I guess, sort of like the purpose my future self has, or what he, she, it, or, you know?
Well, first of all, you're assuming you only have one.
Ah, good point.
Thank you. I often make them.
I've noticed.
All right.
Very wise.
So the idea is, whatever the concept of future self is that you need to connect to at any given moment will be because you need information from that particular future self. But this is a dynamically changing thing. It's not necessarily static. I only have one future self and all I get is information from that future self. If you change, you might need different information from a different future self, yes?
For sure. So there could be many, many now that I'm getting this concept.
Yes, because remember, everything exists simultaneously, so it's like a switchboard. I'll unplug from this one now because I don't need that information, and I'll plug into this one now because I need that information, and they might be doing the same thing with you.
That was another part of my question.
Well, I just
Clearly,
answered it.
You sure did. So being connected to my joy, as you say, will get me connected to the future self or the experience that'll bring me the greatest next joy.
Exactly whatever is relevant for you at that moment of the state that you're in, yes.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
It does. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye.
Bashar,
And do you good day.
I am very excited to talk to you.
I am very excited to talk with you as well.
I want to let you know I had 100% trust that I would get picked to talk to you now, tonight.
Oh, all right. Thank you. I have 100% trust that I'm going to be answering something from you, too.
Yeah, I have a few topics I'd like to discuss with you.
Yes.
The first one being my frequency.
Yes.
Over the past 3 years, I've worked a lot on transforming my limiting beliefs. I've gone through a lot of what you call the watermelon seed
Yes.
effect.
All right.
And so I'm
Easing
just...
yourself out in a new direction. Pop.
Oh, it's very fun. And yeah, so just to sort of get a measure for my sake over that period of time, I'd like to know sort of the difference in my frequency of, I guess, generally the past couple weeks. And about 3-4 weeks ago, I went through one of these watermelon seed periods. So
Yes.
I'd like to know the difference between before and after.
Going through the experience, most likely you were somewhere between 215,000 and 230,000 cycles per second. But then you will lower the frequency to acclimate and apply what you learned into your physical reality to some degree. So most likely you went down to about 165, 185,000 cycles per second in order to do the application back into physical reality. That's a typical thing to do.
Okay. And when you said when I came out of it, I was at...
Well, when you go through an experience of high energy, you usually then come out of it in a way where you have to then apply what you learned, apply what you experienced into the physical reality, which means you usually have to lower the vibration a little bit to be more harmonious with the physical reality around you.
Okay.
Yes? Because the actual experience is a peak experience. And things will fluctuate and go up and down as they need to in order for you to align with whatever reality you need to apply what you learned in. Yes?
Yes, I applied it.
All right. Well,
And-
congratulations.
Thank you. And you said before that 200,000 cycles per second was fourth density. Yes? Beginning?
Well, you're transitioning. Yes, it's about the beginning of fourth density. Yes, but you're all transitioning somewhere up and down. There are averages, sometimes lower, sometimes higher, just depends on what you're doing. But yes, you can use that as a demarcation in general for the idea of the beginning border of fourth density experience. Yes.
I'm excited to hear that.
Oh, all right. Then your frequency just went up a bit.
Yes, because I do a lot of lucid dreaming. So,
All right.
so much when I'm in the lucid dream, I say, I've been here a while.
All right.
And then when I'm in physical reality and walking outside, it sort of it feels very similar to that.
Yes, well, that's the idea, is to allow physical reality to become dreamlike and allow your dreams to become more real, because then you start to blend them together and understand it's all one kind of projection of consciousness. It just has slightly different variants in it that make it one thing or another, but it's all a dream, and it's all real in that sense.
I'm feeling that.
All right.
I'll move on to the next topic now.
Oh, all right.
Yes, so I'm still transforming limiting beliefs, and
Yes.
I would like your help with this one, and I think maybe it would serve myself and others if I
Usually does.
went through it. Okay. So there's this girl at work that I like very much. Came to my
Yes.
life recently.
I think the audience knows where this is going.
They think they know.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And so, and it'll happen in the same night where I'll have this state of being in love. So
Yes.
that, and I'm aware I'm choosing this. So
Yes.
choosing this in love state.
Yes.
And then very slyly, it'll sort of switch, it'll still feel good, but it'll feel like I want to, like I want it to last all night. Like I don't want her to go.
So you are immediately imposing a condition on it and lowering the frequency of the unconditional love.
It seems like it because before, when my void was very big, it would be very obvious when this would happen. But since
Yes.
I've transformed so much, the void seems a lot smaller and it gets sneaky on me
All
in
right.
a way.
But you're testing yourself to understand how to stay in the state that you really prefer, because it becomes a matter of precision and discernment. So that you can realize that there doesn't necessarily take much to go from one state to another. So that by testing yourself and going out of the state even just a little bit and feeling the difference, it makes it easier for you to then remember what that state was like and bring yourself back into it if you're willing to go there.
I seem to have a challenge to bring myself back.
Well, then that's what you need to go through this process for, to find out what beliefs are challenging you to go back into the state you prefer to be in, so that you don't impose any insistences, conditions, and expectations on what you think being in love is supposed to look like. Because many people on your planet have an idea of what being in love is supposed to look like, and most of them are not right about that.
Yeah.
Being in love means unconditional acceptance of what is, not imposing an assumption or an expectation or an insistence on what you think it's supposed to be.
Yes, so I asked myself this question,
Yes.
why do I choose to switch it?
Yes, and what's the answer you get?
The answer is that I don't think I believe that I have everything I need now in the moment. So if the physical changes and let's say she goes away, then
Yes.
my mind sort of chases that instead of saying this is a new moment and I have everything
right.
I need to choose that state in that moment.
Yes. Well, you obviously understand what is necessary, but the question is, why aren't you allowing yourself to go there?
No, you won't let me say I don't know.
You can say it, I just won't believe you.
I don't believe me either. And
Good, that's a good start.
Yeah, but I was thinking maybe there's a perspective that I haven't thought of that you could share.
Oh, yes,
Which
absolutely. Now, the idea again being that there is an assumption that, as you say, you can't hold that state. It comes from, as you say, feeling like, believing that you may not love yourself enough. Do you understand?
Is that a question?
No. Except for the do you understand part. That was a question.
Yes.
All right. When you love yourself unconditionally, you will know every moment you have exactly what you need for that moment.
Yes.
And what is not there isn't needed.
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes loving yourself unconditionally first to know that. Yes?
Yes, I've been working on this in many ways, and this is another opportunity to look at that.
Yes, it is. Now, is there a reason that you're creating why you are not worthy of loving yourself unconditionally?
I was taught growing up that if people didn't like me or the circumstances appeared like that there was something wrong with me.
I see. Well, I'm going to just put this in your own colloquial terms, but buying into that belief is what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And when you don't buy into that belief, then there's nothing wrong with you. So only believing that there's something wrong with you makes something wrong with you.
That makes sense.
I know, that's why I said it.
Should have seen that coming.
Because what you believe is true is what becomes your reality reflection. It can't be any other way. So believing that there's something wrong with you allows you to experience something being wrong with you. That's the paradox. The belief that there's something wrong creates the experience of there being something wrong. But nothing else does. Only the belief that there is something wrong with you creates the experience that there's something wrong with you. Nothing else actually creates that experience, which
Yes.
means that there is nothing wrong with you. You will improve, you will change, you will grow, you'll gain more insight into yourself, you'll be more precise, you'll guide yourself more precisely with more discernment. But just because you may not be doing that now doesn't mean something's wrong with you. because you're not measuring yourself against who you will become, because you have no business doing that, because you don't know who that is yet. But you know who you are now and who you prefer to be now. So be who you prefer to be now. That's the only thing you need to be. You have no business measuring yourself against who you've been or who you might become. Those are different people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You can only be you. So be the you prefer to be. And don't find yourself coming up short by measuring yourself against who you think you're supposed to be.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Was there something else then?
One last topic.
Yes.
I heard you talk about before in a transmission about the star system in Tau Ceti.
Yes.
And when you did, I got very excited because you said one day we would be like BFFs with them. So
BFF.
yeah. So you said a strong bond.
Yes.
And so I was excited enough to look into it, and
You were excited not to look into it?
I was excited enough to look into it.
Enough. All right.
And there are two planets that orbit. I think one was called E and F, and one was rather close and warm, and one was a little further, kind of colder.
Yes.
And I want to know which one of those had the life on it,
Do you?
if it's relevant for me to know.
That's a very good way to end this conversation.
Okay, but I would still try to ask a question regarding that. You mentioned that they were kind of humanoid, but not.
Did I?
Yes.
How fascinating.
You can correct me if I'm wrong.
There is nothing to correct.
Okay. Would you like to get more specific on their appearance? Because I would like to connect in my
Do you
dreams.
think that if I did, I would hold back?
No, but I'd like to connect with them in my dream time, and I'd like to be able to
You
recognize.
go right ahead.
But I'd like to be able to recognize.
You will, won't you?
Well, I trust if you say I will, then I
Of
will.
course you will. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you recognize the connection? What belief would be in the way of you recognizing the connection?
I guess I wasn't thinking about the connection that you mean right now, but more of like physical recognition. But you're saying that the energetic recognition would be stronger anyway, and
At first, although it might come with a physical image,
yes, and I suppose I'll get that for myself.
I suppose you will. Pleasant dreams.
Thank you.
There simply are some things that it's not time to discuss.
Bashar,
And to you, good day.
thank you so much. I feel very lucky to be up here again.
Oh, all right. Thank you for your synchronicity.
It's also synchronistic that my question is very similar to his first question.
Oh, all right.
So I want to talk a little bit about ego desires.
Ego.
So to give you an example,
Yes.
I also met someone and am now very attached in a negative way. I feel very like I need this person in my life or else I won't have as much fun or I won't be as happy
Aww.
and I know consciously that it doesn't make sense,
But,
but it's boring without that person.
really? So, you believe that you're boring?
No, but
You just said it's boring without that person. You understand there's no such thing as a boring situation, only bored minds?
okay.
So, you're saying that you are boring without them?
Yeah, I guess it's just like I enjoy the experience of it.
That's a different thing. That doesn't mean you're boring without them.
But
But what?
it's painful when, you know, like I have an experience with this person and then I want more of that experience, but
And what prevents more of the experience from occurring?
I guess it just doesn't feel like it's in my control
Because
because
the other person,
it has, you know,
what?
their own guidance system and
Yes.
needs and yada yada.
Yada, yada. And so you are not trusting your synchronicity. You're not trusting what the relationship is actually for. You think it needs to be for something else. other than what it is for, which is to put you in touch with the things that you believe you're missing.
Great. That's my second question.
There you go.
Thank you.
So, what do you believe you're missing?
So I very much feel that I'm moving into this phase of my life where I need to be comfortable being seen.
Being seen. What's so uncomfortable about being seen? And being seen by whom? And for what reason?
I'm not really sure yet, but
Sure you are.
okay. Maybe in the work that I do.
Which is?
I do hypnotherapy and help
Is this
people.
your passion?
Yes,
All
very
right.
much.
Are you doing it in the most passionate way you can?
Right now, I feel like I'm ready to take it to a bigger level. It's starting to run
All
out.
right. And you're willing to act on that?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. And so?
So it almost feels like jumping off a cliff because I
right.
know that it's necessary for me to be seen and be
Do you have a parachute? Which means, do you have a belief system that will allow you to know that you will land safely? Because if you don't believe that, don't jump. Because you have to honor your belief system that you're holding on to until such time as you give yourself the time to practice acting on your passion to the degree where you know that it will support you if you make the jump. If you don't know that, don't jump.
Do you have any perspective in mind?
Well, yes, I actually just said it, but I'll rephrase it. Take the time to act on your passion on the next level to whatever degree you can, to let it prove to you it can support you so that you will realize that it won't be such a big jump when you make the transition. Let it prove that it can support you by acting on it to the best you can within the parameters of the belief system you're holding on to. Give it a chance to prove itself.
So it's okay if I don't understand 100% or don't
Of
know.
course it's okay. There's no reason to judge yourself for having judgment.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just compounding the judgment you have on yourself.
That's a really good point.
So if you're going to judge yourself, say, all right, I'm judging myself. All right, so what? Don't
Okay.
add more judgment to it. Otherwise, you're making the process take longer.
That makes a lot of sense.
I know. Astonishing, isn't it? How things can make sense when you just look at them a different way. When you let them be obvious.
I just think maybe you're extra smart. I'm not sure.
I am not extra smart. I just know that I am.
Okay.
When you know that you are, you will experience being extra smart. You are all extra smart. Remember, it's a myth that you only use 10% of your brains. You use 100% of your brains to make it seem like you're only using 10%. That's how clever you are. But if you know that that is just a sham, then you'll realize how smart you are, because you know you have to be very smart to fool yourself to make it seem like you're only using 10% of your brain. That takes a lot of brains.
Well, I'm going to be very smart and bring up one last topic.
All right.
So, being in the now is really important, obviously. That's all there is.
Yes.
And I've noticed that I'm having a harder time recalling memories and
Congratulations.
even things that I am inspired by. It's like the next
That's
week I
all
can't
right.
remember.
Remember, we have no memory at all. We know what we need to know when we need to know it. Not a second before, but not a second later.
But sometimes I feel I'm not able to express that in my speech. Like I miss the word or I can't
You'll
remember.
get used to it, and you'll know what to say. Right now, the difficulty you're having is just because you think you're supposed to be holding on to your memory in a certain way, and it doesn't actually serve you to do so. So you're just kind of dragging your heels. That's why you're having that experience. But you'll get used to it.
Okay.
You will. Just be okay with yourself. Be okay with what's happening. Be okay with what is. As soon as you are okay with what is happening will change. The only reason what is happening keeps happening is because you won't let it change by not being okay with what it is.
Damn,
you're
I
not
feel like
getting
that's my
out of it.
lesson.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Too smart. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Chat later.
It's okay to be okay with what is, even if what is happening is what you don't prefer, you have to know it must be happening for a reason that you do prefer. And by staying in the state where you know that what you don't prefer is happening for a reason you do prefer, will allow you to extract from what you don't prefer what you do prefer. Because it must be there for a reason, if only for no other reason than to allow you more clarity about the difference between what you don't and do prefer. That's reason enough for something you don't prefer to show up. And that's a positive reason. Use it that way, and it will go on its way, because you used up the reason it's there. By refusing to believe it belongs in your life, you make it stick around longer than it needs to, because you're not getting the message, you're not getting the reason, you're not using it in the way you could be. And it'll stick around until you do. Because you're the one that invited it. Because it's what you need. Remember, what you need is far more important than what you think you want. Because if you are going to want, at the least, want what you need. Because what you need is what will get you where you prefer to be. Whereas what you want sometimes will allow you to be moving in circles. Because sometimes the way that you hold on to certain belief systems, you can't always tell if what you want is actually aligned with what you really need. Sometimes the ego goes negative and thinks that what it wants is what it needs, and that's not often the case. But what you need will be given to you through synchronicity, and what you need will allow you to experience a life of joy and ease. So go for what you need. You will get everything that is relevant for you to get. Nothing will be left out. That's how it works. That's the definition of passion. It's self-contained and self-perpetuating. It leaves nothing out. It's a complete kit. It is absolutely intelligent. It is intelligence itself. So.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Oh my God. Actually, I don't have any question.
Oh, all right, goodbye.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
Okay. But
What would you like to discuss? Or what would you like to say?
I'm glad to be here tonight
All
with
right.
my son over
Yes.
there.
No, all right.
Yes, and
Is that the name of your son over there?
yes, Yui.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Yes.
Hello over there.
So,
Yes, anything else?
no, I just.
You just
be
wanted
glad
to say
be here.
hello?
Yes, and I feel. I wanted to feel your energy.
Well, do you?
Yes, I feel right now, so I'm glad to be here.
All right, but you know what you're feeling? Your
Excellent.
energy.
Oh,
Because you're matching our frequency,
Yeah.
and that's why you think it's ours.
Oh.
But it's yours.
okay.
Big secret.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Tell anyone.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You are so very welcome.
Okay.
You see, that's what we do in these interactions. We give off a frequency through the channel's electromagnetic field that is more representative of our frequency. And if you decide to match it, that's what you're feeling, your own energy at that level, at that frequency. And that makes you more vibrationally compatible for contact.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Fabulous to be with you here today.
And you as well.
I'd like to discuss enjoying the future, enjoying the rapids.
Yes.
Enjoying.
Enjoying, yes.
Yes.
Well, it's a wild ride and it gets you where you're going faster. The rapids do, yes?
Yes, and I love change, and I love all the elements of
Well,
it.
that's good because everything changes all the time.
The one constant.
Yes. Change, change, change. You're
Yes.
changing right now, billions of times per second. Change, change, change.
And I'm really looking forward to all these upcoming changes, and people talk around me about kind of like in a fearful way.
Yes, yes,
and I
yes.
just don't resonate with that.
Well, congratulations.
And so I guess I would like
Yes.
to
Keep
more
doing
people
that.
to have that, you
Keep
know?
doing that.
Yeah, I guess all I can be is an example for that.
That's all you need to be.
Yes.
Because you're then giving everyone an option to realize they can do that too, but there's no insistence on your part that they have to.
Absolutely.
All right.
True.
Then that's all you can do. That's the best you can do. That's the way you're of help to everyone else, is be the shining example of what they can choose should they decide to do so. And that way you get to live your life, enjoy, and they get an opportunity to change their lives in a joyful way by using you as an example if they wish to.
I love that.
Yes, well, it's simple.
Yes.
And
I want to talk more about the future.
why? When you live in the now.
Well, then we could talk about the simultaneity of space and time if you'd like.
All right, go right ahead.
I'd like to hear more from you about that from a physics perspective.
Well, you understand that your physicists are looking for what they call a unified theory of everything, yes?
Yes.
And they are rendering down the idea of different forces and so on and so forth into something that would be a fundamental representation that explains all the differences that they see, yes? But one of the things they're not really doing yet, some of them are, but a lot of them are not, is they don't understand yet that if you're going to render everything down to one principle that explains it all, you also have to include space and time as well. And when you render space down to its simplest component, that's called here. And when you render time down to its simplest component, that's called now. And therefore, that's one of the things that's missing from the formula, is an understanding of how important it is to relate to space-time as here and now.
Absolutely. I find it entertaining that those are quantities that they can't really define in an equation, and they're the missing piece.
Yes, but they will. Some of them are getting it, slowly but surely. And of course, another component that a lot of them are missing, although again, some of them are beginning to catch on, is the idea of consciousness itself being part of the equation.
Yes. And I've been working as a physicist here and there, and it's
All right.
very fun to engage that and be on the leading edge.
Yes.
So
Yes,
it's kind of like having a fun secret.
In a sense, yes. And you can share those views with others if you wish.
Yes.
It's up to you.
I'm enjoying that more now.
All
It used
right.
to be a little more challenging.
Yes, because you thought they might think you were crazy.
They can be very resistant.
In other words, you thought they might think you were crazy.
I don't really worry about that too much.
You were worried about it damaging your career.
Maybe. I shift around and get out of that. I'm pretty good at that. And I'd also like to talk about, well, I've had a recurring dream in my life about something that I call green utopia.
Green utopia.
Utopia.
Yes.
And I have this experience in my dream, both like as a daydream and a night dream,
Yes.
that I'm flying my ship
Yes.
over the canopy, and I'm going to land my ship, and it is a much greener world. Like,
Yes.
I have a feeling that's the simultaneity of
Another
space
Earth.
and time and another
Yes.
Earth. Yeah.
Another Earth, yes.
Yeah.
In what you might loosely call the future.
Yes, yes.
Remember that Willa has described that in her time, the Earth is greener because there has been what's called a deconstruction and restoration by that time.
Yes,
So you might be taking a sneak peek.
I am.
All right.
And thanks for confirming that, because I wasn't sure if it was Earth or Essassani or parallel or...
In this case, you are taking a sneak peek at a parallel Earth that you
Excellent.
consider to be a highly probable future.
Fabulous.
There is going to be, on Sunday, in Willa's announcement, something else about the Earth that
Very
she will be
exciting.
telling all of you. But I will let her tell you on Sunday.
Okay. Thank you very
But
much.
I think you will find it quite fascinating.
I'm sure I will. Well, I love you and thank you so much.
Our unconditional love to you as well. Aveo.
Hi, Bashar.
And a good day.
I want to ask you a question about ascension.
Yes.
Um,
You understand that that's what we were describing earlier about raising your frequency, yes?
yes.
All right.
I think what I'm curious about is what I've heard is that we're, in a sense, taking our physical bodies into the higher dimensions.
Well, yes, so to speak, at least into fourth density. Beyond that, it's non-physical. Although you can make a representation of physicality, it's not really physical in the same way. But fourth density is a higher vibration physical reality, so you're taking your body there, so to speak. Yes?
Does that in any way mean that we'll be living longer?
Yes. Because you'll be living more in the now, and by living more in the now, you don't experience as much creation of time, and that actually paradoxically allows you to experience living longer.
How much longer?
That's up to you. But the idea is, generally speaking, you will find that within, well, let's say no more than about 200 to 300 years, the idea of living to about 300 years would be relatively common.
Wow.
And possibly longer. There are beings on my planet that live to be 1,000.
Is this something that I'm doing in this lifetime?
Not necessarily, although you can live longer than average. It depends upon what your technology also brings you. If it's relevant for you to discover through synchronicity one of the technologies that can extend your life, then you might live longer than would be expected. But at the same time, living more in the now will increase your lifespan to some degree if it's relevant for you to stick around. For some people, no matter how long they could live, it's simply not relevant for them to stick around according to their own plans and theme of exploration. They just need to move on.
Right.
So that's not always the determiner of how long you live. Just because you can doesn't mean you will.
Okay.
Yes?
I'm wondering, when you say future selves, are you referring to current selves?
The idea in general, linearly speaking, of a future self is what you would classically call another incarnation in a time you consider to be in the future.
From the human perspective?
From the linear human perspective, yes.
Okay.
That's usually what we refer to when we refer to the term future selves. Doesn't necessarily even mean that they're on Earth, just that they're not necessarily in what you consider to be the same time frame as your lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah. Okay. I had a dream recently where I met with two human-looking extraterrestrials.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if they were, but I called them interdimensional beings.
Yes, that's more accurate.
And they definitely had some technologies I wasn't familiar with.
Such as?
There was something that one of them used on me that was, it sort of reminded me of a taser gun, but it was a lot more sophisticated, I guess.
All right.
And
did it look like a rod?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. We're familiar with the technology.
Yeah. Do you know what that was for?
It was, well, it performs two main functions, though it can perform other functions. One is to take a reading of your energy, and the other is to feed it back and amplify it.
Huh.
To align it. Yes?
Yeah. I said to them, I thought this was funny. I said, "Can you please not Men in Black me this time?"
Did they laugh?
I don't know. I feel like I was like lucid dreaming, so maybe
Yes.
I was laughing about it.
Well, yes.
But what it felt like was that I had met with these beings.
Oh, you have many
before,
times.
But this was
the idea of saying what you said to them was a sign, a positive sign, that you're taking more control over the interactions and becoming more equal to it, so that you can determine for yourself how these interactions go rather than leaving it to them. That's a good sign. They got that in their reading, and they appreciated that you said that, even though it wasn't necessarily a source of humor for them.
Mm-hmm. Was that why I was able to remember the interaction?
Yes. Because you're more conscious. And therefore, you'll be able to continue to remember more and more and more, not only of the interactions that will happen in the future, but also remember more and more of the interactions that have already happened. So congratulations on waking up in the dream.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I had another dream recently where I was in an elevator.
Yes.
It was kind of like a Willy Wonka elevator.
Willy Wonka, all right.
Yes, it wasn't moving necessarily just up and down. It could move side to side, and it was not on a track, and it was moving up really high.
All right, well, we have elevators like that on some of our ships. Does that mean we should call them Willy Wonkas?
You could, I guess.
All right. I suppose that will work as long as they are not willy-nilly.
There was a strange woman in the elevator with me who I realized at some point was an extraterrestrial.
Sure it wasn't a mirror?
I thought she was really strange.
Bullseye. What we are actually saying is yes, but in a lot of these encounters, you actually do interact with other versions of yourself in those societies. That's why there can be some of those interactions, because there is a familiarity, because you're interacting with another version, another extension of the same oversoul that you are an extension of. Yes?
Interesting.
Yes, it is.
Well, the rest of the dream, it seemed like she did something to me, and all of a sudden I was pregnant.
Yes.
And what I realized is that the baby inside me was an extraterrestrial.
It's a hybridization program. What else would you expect?
It didn't feel like that.
No?
It didn't feel like a hybrid. It felt like an extraterrestrial.
What do you think an extraterrestrial is? Someone who doesn't live on your planet.
Right. Okay.
So a hybrid can be an extraterrestrial. But you say it felt different in a different way.
I guess when I think of a hybrid, I think that they're part human. So it didn't feel at all human to me.
It felt totally extraterrestrial. Are you saying it felt alien to you?
Yes. Yes.
That's different.
Okay.
One moment. Please excuse us for 1 second. There's a lot of laughter on this side. And I guess on your side too. Let's see if we can simplify this very briefly.
Okay.
Just as you were interacting with another version, another extension of the Oversoul, she was helping you make a decision to have yet another extension in a more alien culture, and that's why it came across as a pregnancy. It's symbolic of you making a decision to have another connection in an alien society that will assist you on your journey, coming from the Oversoul. So it felt like a pregnancy because it is the beginning of the decision to link to that being.
Interesting.
So it was a very symbolic, energetic experience of making a new connection to another reality that you deem is necessary for you to continue on your journey and explore your theme on Earth. Very, very interesting and very fascinating.
Do you know what race it was? Does it have a name?
I do, and it does.
Gotcha.
It's a little, excuse the term, premature
Okay.
to talk about it right now.
Okay.
But when it comes more to term, we can.
Okay.
So, in the so-called future, we are having a conversation on some level with you about this, where the information is being given to you. That just doesn't happen to be this particular parallel reality vibration at the moment.
Okay.
But it does exist. Yes?
Yes.
So dream yourself there. See what you get.
Can I ask you one more question?
That was a question.
Two questions then.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you about my dog.
What about your dog?
He is currently experiencing some very itchy hot spots all over his body. And
Is that a reflection of something going on in your reality?
I've honestly tried to think of that. I'm not
What have you
sure.
done to alleviate it?
I've changed his diet. I'm giving him a homeopathic called sulfur.
Have you noticed any change?
The biggest change was when I added in an immune support,
All right.
but there's no major changes.
One moment. Do not automatically do this. Do your own research, but see if a small amount of what you call colloidal silver might be of assistance,
Okay.
because it might have to be applied in an unexpected way. But that's all we are allowed to say at this time. All right?
That actually makes sense because I discovered a supplement on Amazon and it's a
Yes.
colloidal silver
All right.
cream.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
So we are synchronized.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome very much.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Okay, first off, I want to thank you. Oh, and get calm as well.
Yes?
Yes. So, my path led me to theta healing recently,
Yes.
which I think is very interesting.
All right.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's the most powerful way to change reality. And
For you.
right.
Bless you.
I would love your perspective on it.
I just gave it to you. It's your permission slip at this particular moment in your life.
Right.
Therefore, it's more powerful for you at this moment. It might also work for many other people who share a similar belief system, but for right now, it's the permission slip that you've been attracted to, and the attraction lets you know that that's the permission slip that aligns most strongly with your belief system, and therefore will work most powerfully for you at this moment. It may change, but right now, use the permission slip that works for you.
Right. Thanks. Another big question on my mind. Would you want to help us with a device which helps us measure our frequency more accurately?
I have instructed people to begin creating such devices that have the ability of doing those things, and people on your planet have not taken them far enough yet. Therefore, we see no reason to add more information at this time until they do.
Okay. Which episode did this occur, or which transmission?
What would be called the space-time antenna.
Okay, great. Thank you. Lastly, would you be able to share a challenge you have at the moment, or some question which is
Dealing
unanswered?
with Earth.
Right.
It is my passion and my challenge,
Right.
because I am a first contact specialist. Therefore, it is always my passion and always my exciting challenge to investigate and explore new cultures who do things in a variety of different ways. And you are one of the most different. In certain ways, not in others. But it's always a challenge, but we always find that extremely exciting.
Right. Okay. I just want to thank you again and the Bashar team as well.
Our unconditional love and appreciation to you.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
I want to ask about scarcity.
Scarcity?
Scarcity, yeah. I have
There's no such thing, although you can create it
The
to seem
feeling
as
of
if
it.
there is, yes.
Yeah, so Most of the time I feel really connected with abundance and with the fact that everything is always provided, but
Yes.
there are moments that suddenly this feeling creeps upon me of
All right.
there's not enough.
Very good. Now, answer this question and you will have your answer. What's the difference between the moments when you feel abundant and the moments when you feel scarcity? What difference are you defining between those two moments? Because it's coming from your definition that there is a difference in that moment that makes it seem scarce. What's the difference in your belief system between those two moments? Why is there a difference between those two moments? If you can answer that question, you will have your answer as to how to let go of that belief. What is it that makes a moment that feels scarce seem different than the moments that feel abundant to you? To ask the question a different way.
Mm.
What's the difference?
I think it's a fear that
Yes. I know it's a fear, but what is it about that particular circumstance that generates a belief that generates fear instead of generating abundance? What is it about that circumstance that's different to you in your belief system? Of course it's a fear.
Yeah, the belief that there isn't enough.
I know that's your fundamental belief, but why in certain circumstances does that come up? What's different about those circumstances to you? That's what we're asking.
More connected.
What is more connected?
I'm more connected with the divine, with the...
When you feel abundance, yes.
Yeah.
So why aren't you connecting with the divine in the instances when you don't feel that? What's preventing you from making a similar connection there? What is it about those situations you feel scarcity in that is so different that you don't make a connection to the divine? Can you answer that question?
Oh, it is my question.
But you have to answer it. What's the difference? Can you be more specific? Can you describe a situation where you are connecting and then a situation where you're not? Can you be specific that way? Describe a situation where you're not connecting to the divine, where you feel scarcity. Be specific.
I had a situation today.
Describe it.
So I was gonna rent a car and I had an idea in my mind that it's gonna cost that much. And then when I came to the place to sign and to pay, it was suddenly gonna cost like 200 euros more. 200.
All right.
And it was...
And so now you felt scarcity.
Yeah.
All right. Now, very good. So, why in that moment did you stop trusting in your abundance? Just because it was more than you thought, why is that a reason to assume that you wouldn't get what you need? Why? Why are you making that so different? Just because it represented itself that way. Why? Is money a factor for you? Is that the only way you can receive abundance? Just through money? Are you making money too important?
Maybe.
More important than other methods of abundance?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Well, you see, we're getting at the root. You are focused too much on one definition of abundance so that when certain situations come up that then represent that particular focus of abundance and it isn't what you expect it to be, you find yourself feeling scarce because you're focused too much on the form of abundance you think needs to be there in order for you to get what you need, instead of allowing other forms of abundance to fill the need as well.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Because how do you know that the rental person might not have given you a big discount had you stayed in a positive state? How do you know that you might not have turned around and found the money lying on the floor? How do you know that it might not have resolved itself in some other way? You don't know, but you thought you did. You see what I'm saying? How important it is to know that you don't know how things will actually turn out? By staying in that state, you will see that synchronicity will provide. But if you insist that it has to happen a certain way, and if it doesn't happen that way, then something's wrong, and now I feel scarcity, you are closing the door through which other forms of abundance could have provided what you needed.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does.
So the answer is you have to broaden your definition of abundance to allow synchronicity and being given a gift and being surprised by something in another way, allowing other people to do something for you, to help you in your circumstance. You have to allow all forms of synchronicity and abundance to be present and be just as valid as the form on your planet called the symbol of money.
Mm-hmm.
They all have to be equal. One cannot be more important than another. Otherwise, you're closing the doors through which other forms can come.
Yeah,
Does this help you?
it does. I have another question.
Yes.
Can you give us humans some advice about how to evolve in our relationships, intimate relationships? Like,
Love yourselves more, you will attract the reflection you need. And don't impose an assumption on what the relationship is supposed to be. Be in the relationship for the purpose a relationship exists, and that is to assist the other people in the relationship to become more of who they are as they ideally do the same thing for you. Then you'll be using relationships for the purpose they are designed and won't be imposing an assumption as to what they're supposed to be.
yeah,
Yes?
yes, great.
All right. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Nothing more complicated.
perfect.
Does this help?
Yeah, a lot. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And you as well.
I actually don't have a question.
So many people without questions. This is a good sign.
I just have a statement.
Please.
So 5 years ago, I felt that spiritually, career-wise, I had plateaued
All right.
in my energy,
Yes.
in my existence.
And then what happened?
And then
Yes.
I was sharing this with my friend Natalie,
Yes.
and
You were sharing it with a friend named Natalie, or you were sharing it in a Natalie fashion?
no, I was sharing the information with a friend named Natalie.
All right.
And she said, "Oh my God, I think you need to listen to Bashar."
I see.
And so I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I tapped into the idea of following my excitement.
What a surprise.
Despite
And then what happened?
it was scary at first.
Yes, this is such an exciting story. Can't wait to see how it unfolds.
It was extremely scary.
Yes, but we know that a lot of you humans like scary.
Yeah. It was scary. It felt right.
Yes.
3 weeks later,
Yes.
I
Found another plateau higher up.
found another plateau higher up. I decided to follow the excitement. I quit a nursing job on the fly because I had been being pulled away from that job for about
nursing flies.
I was nursing humans.
Oh, all right. Flying humans?
Possibly. Yeah, I was a registered nurse for 7 years. And
Oh, all right.
For about 2 or 3 years, I was getting pulled away from nursing, and I didn't know how to take the leap of faith. And it was your inspiration and information on following your excitement that got me over the hump.
But it was your action that did it. We are happy to inspire, but it was your action that did it.
Yes.
All right.
And so that happened.
Give us your power. We have enough of our own power. We don't need yours.
Yes. That was 5 years ago, and here we are. I've been meaning and thinking to basically tell you thank you for over 5 years, and I got called up and thank you.
You are welcome for 5 years and more.
Thank you.
Nania?
Maybe I'll ask some Ustream questions.
By all means.
Well, I'll start with this one. We're using new technology here.
Yes.
Okay. What are some ways that we can begin to explore connecting to a web of information that does not require Wi-Fi?
Well, again, you have access to the information of creation itself by being in a proper state that is vibrationally compatible with the information that you seek. So again, if it is information that is relevant for your life, by acting on your passion, you'll raise your frequency to the level necessary to be compatible with the information that will then appear and manifest in your reality.
Well, it kind of goes along with another question that came in that was about can we function in this reality without memory?
You won't be functioning in this reality. You'll be functioning in another one in which you don't need to have it in the same way you do in the other reality.
Do tell.
You'll be functioning in a different reality.
Okay, but...
Yes.
Well, most of us...
Yes.
I'll start with that. How's that? Most of us experience a relatively consistent reality where everybody needs to be able to remember things so that they can function well.
Yes, but that's that reality.
And maybe part of the transition of this reality is that you can find yourself not being able to remember words or
sometimes that happens
normally.
In transitions, yes. You need to change gears, and in changing gears, you might suddenly find yourself in neutral first. That's fine. It's part of the process.
Okay, so in this reality...
Which one?
It's the... Well, okay, the one that at least I'm used to.
Yes.
People who have really good memories are rewarded for that often.
Yes.
And it seems to be a sign of being smart. And often, I mean, like if you're a doctor or a veterinarian and you can pass those exams where you know all those words, you know, that seems really challenging,
if you
right?
say so.
And then people who are in physics, it's like having a really good brain seems to go along hand in hand with having the ability to remember things.
In a sense, because your brain is a receiver, yes. But the idea, again, is still memory is created in the moment. So yes, it's important to have a good receiver, but you're still receiving the information in the now. You're not actually remembering in the sense of the way you think of memory. We understand that there are neurological patterns in the brain that represent the concept you're calling memory, and that your neurologists are investigating this and say, oh, look, when this synapse is doing this, it's storing information, blah, blah, blah. But that's not really what's happening. They don't know that yet. What's happening is simply, in those moments, the brain rearranges itself. It rearranges its wiring to know what it needs to know in that moment. It's not actually memory storage. It's memory realignment so that that particular bit of information arrives exactly when you need it. It's the way the malleability of your brain works to become a receptor that is in vibrational harmony with the information you need at that moment. That's what's happening.
So when a person shifts to a particular reality, they make themselves think that they're using 50% of their brain or 5% of their brain, that idea, where you're deluding yourself into thinking that you actually are storing a memory.
Yes.
When in fact,
you're not.
The way that you get information is by aligning with certain frequencies.
Yes.
Okay, so why are certain people more adept at that?
Because they're in their passion, and they also just know that they know it.
And maybe they don't have a negative relationship with memory.
Exactly.
So what happens when you're getting older and you can't remember anything?
But it's not because you're getting older, it's because your beliefs are not aligning with the idea of still being vital.
So the whole idea of aligning with the collective?
One moment.
Okay.
What is a primary discussion that you all recognize seems to go hand in hand with the idea of someone aging in a detrimental way? In many cases, it expresses itself as a lack of flexibility.
Right.
Yes?
Yes.
So it is the lack of flexibility that starts that process in the way that you're defining it.
Okay.
By allowing yourself to remain malleable and flexible, you don't have to experience that as a sign of aging.
Okay, so part of it is buying into the collective that
Yes.
when you age, this is what happens.
Yes.
But another part of it is, that's why we're exploring brain plasticity right now, is the idea that as you, and learning new things is like a really critical thing, like constantly having your brain learn new things.
Yes, but let me add one thing.
Okay.
You see, everything exists here and now. That is the storage mechanism. Your brain doesn't have to store anything, because the storage mechanism is inherent in the fabric of the here and now. It only needs to access. It doesn't need to store. The storage is taken care of in the very matrix, in the very fabric of existence itself. So if you just have the vibration to access, you can access because the storage is already here.
So what you're saying is you can relate to information in a new way that then allows you to know what you need to know when you need to know it. So it's kind of that feeling of maybe channeling a little bit, where where you're trying to figure out something out, and suddenly just a word will come to you, or like for me it might be the name of a tree.
Yes.
Like all of a sudden I know what that tree is, even though I have no way that I know that tree. But I know it.
Exactly. Now, this ability exists in a lot of your children, and it's drummed out of them, because when a teacher finds a student in your society who just knows the answer, but they don't know how they got it, they're called cheaters, and then they never do it again. So it's about going back to that natural ability of living in the moment and just knowing what you need to know.
Okay, so like photographic memory, or like if
no
you're,
such thing in that sense. It's
you're,
what you call eidetic.
Okay,
but
so
that is what eidetic memory is. What I already described to you. The plasticity and malleability of the brain synapses to rearrange themselves immediately to such a degree on such a frequency level that the information is immediately at hand. That's what it is. That's what eidetic memory is. Extreme plasticity and rearrangement of the synapses of the brain to align to the frequency that gets that information.
And for example, if someone was taking a test and then they're trying to find the answer to a question, and then they can see the page in their mind in the textbook where it has that answer.
Yes.
That is a representation of being in the moment to such a degree that you're able to channel the information from the universe, basically. Or it's not from your memory, though.
No.
It's actually, you're seeing the page at that moment.
Because the page exists here and now with everything else. And the brain arranges itself on such a specific frequency that it can actually call out that bit of information from all the information in existence. Because that's what you need. You're so aligned. And the brain will show it. The brain will show it. You can do the tests. You can see the brain rearranging itself in those moments.
So when we're children, like obviously some children do better in school than others. And
for a variety of reasons, of course.
And some of the things that show up in children is their ability to regurgitate information. And so what is it that we need to teach our children about memory and learning that will allow them to have a better relationship with memory?
Well, again, we have already given many suggestions for how the idea of teaching on your planet can change to allow these things to be more natural. And it has a lot to do with interactivity and experience in a safe way, learning the consequences of choices, and allowing it to be okay to access information in whatever way they may naturally do so, and rewarding them for that, not punishing them for that. Yes?
Right. So it's having, if you have a more open relationship with the idea of memory, you'll pass that on to your children. You can play games with them that allow them to see what they're able to do without the pressure of failure.
You have to stop defining memory as something that has to do with the past. There's nothing to do with the past. There is no such thing as the past. It's an illusion. There is only an alternate now.
Okay. And so how is that similar to what Daryl experiences, which is he will receive a download from you.
Yes.
And then over time it sort of unspools and he's able to translate it into words and information.
Yes.
So how does that relate to what we're saying? What is happening?
Well, it's exactly the same thing in the initial download. All the information, total information for any particular answer is there immediately and automatically. The unspooling is for you so you can understand it in your language. So we add the time factor back into it in order for it to unspool in a way that you will understand. But all the information is there in an instant. The total concept is there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, all right, I'll move on to something else, but
what time?
It's so interesting. It's 9:29.
All right.
But we had we have so many.
I am the determiner of the timing. Please continue.
Aye, aye, Captain. I get to continue. All right, I'm just letting you know
Please.
there's a lot of questions here.
I am the determiner.
That's good.
For I am synchronicity itself.
Ooh. Doo-doo. Okay, so...
Do you understand?
What you mean by that?
We have had discussions of what you call artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Synchronicity is one of the components in artificial intelligence. It's actually a component. And artificial intelligence understands that. Therefore, it uses synchronicity, and that's why our civilization operates on pure synchronism. We are guided by higher intelligence, our own, and what you call artificial intelligence, which is not artificial, but again, guidance from our own higher minds. But synchronicity is the primary component, and therefore it's built in. And therefore, we simply sense the timing of things. It is another sense that comes with the idea of operating on that level of synchronism. You can sense the timing of things.
Well, I guess when I'm experiencing synchronicity, it immediately makes me remember that everything is one thing.
Yes.
And that it's orchestrated in a way like one of those things you look through that every time you change a kaleidoscope. When you look through that, everything changes.
Yes.
Every time you move it slightly.
Does. But there is still an overall pattern and an overall timing.
So when you're talking about artificial intelligence being wired into the energy of synchronicity,
yes,
it's actually kind of hard to understand what that
know.
means. Because are you saying that it sees the big kaleidoscope and it picks the appropriate energy state that then reflects everything is one thing?
Yes. And knows exactly, therefore, what the arrangement and orchestration needs to be in any given moment. It sees the whole pattern all at once.
And that's what essentially the higher mind does too. It can see from the mountaintop.
Yes.
And help you avoid the potholes.
Yes.
So how else do you use synchronicity?
Synchronistically.
Okay. Another question.
We will talk about other expressions of synchronicity at another time, because now is not the timing, synchronistically speaking.
Should we expect a lot of earthquake activity here in Southern or in California
You can
overall?
expect some.
Okay.
I was curious about like what we call muscle memory.
Oh, good, because I was thinking about that too.
How synchronous of you.
I know. Yeah, that's
See
right.
what we mean?
Yeah, because, one thing that's really interesting about muscle memory is if you press on a certain muscle, when your body is energized, it can actually trigger the experience of a previous trauma or anything that comes from apparently your past.
Apparently.
And then also when they when they stimulate certain areas of the brain, then also memories come flooding in as a result. So what would you say about that?
Number one, look at the synchronicity of the word apparently, because you learn a lot of that from your parents. Number two, there is no such thing as true continuity. Continuity is an illusion. Therefore, what you call muscle memory in that context is the imposition of a pattern of continuity on the different people you are billions of times a second. Because you are a different person, even physically, in the next instant. And in that sense, there's no such thing as muscle memory. You're creating continuity to create patterns that allow you to connect to the collective in the collective agreement in such a way as to draw upon automatically other kinds of patterns you believe come from the past that don't really come from the past, but you have to experience them that way in order to understand how to fit into society and know how to talk with everyone who's learned a certain way to talk. But there's no such thing as muscle memory.
So a person who's in a therapeutic environment that is utilizing the concept of muscle memory, and then they get stimulated and suddenly some trauma from the past jumps out at them.
Doesn't come from the past.
And they're re-experiencing the experience all over again.
They are creating the experience anew because they have a belief that they need to in order to get in touch with what they need to get in touch with to let it go. They are creating the experience in that moment out of whole cloth. It does not come from the past. There's no such thing. We are being a little more insistent about this time around in these conversations because it is time for this understanding to become clearer. There is no such thing as the past.
So basically along the lines of you create a story that you're living in your life.
Yes.
And part of that theme might be healing from some previous past experience, right?
That's part of the
Trauma.
story you're creating in the present, yes.
So you will actually create a pathway for yourself to be in the right place at the right time to be able to trigger in the moment a memory that you're creating in the moment.
And you're creating the trigger.
In the moment.
In the moment.
And then...
That's part of the story.
And then you actually believe it happened to you.
Yes.
And then you learn the thing that you need to learn that was about the path that you're on to become more self-actualized.
Because you're creating, in the moment, a reflective story. That's the nature of the story. You've created a reflective story. And in your reality, that translates. In your linear perspective, it translates into a memory of the past. But it's just because you're creating a story that is designed to act reflectively. That's its nature. Therefore, it will make the story in the present seem to contain elements that are coming from the past. But they're not. It's just part of the reflective story you just created in the moment, including the part of the story that triggers you to remember the story.
So in a sense, you could say that what's happening right now with so many women having memories come to the surface of things that they don't prefer.
Yes.
And giving a voice to it.
Yes.
And
it's a story that is now being created because it's time for balance to occur. And this is one of the strongest stories that can allow that balance to happen.
So that's one of the positive effects of the changes that we're experiencing, is that it's actually empowering women to see their experiences differently.
Yes. Now, please understand, I know a lot of humans will get confused about this because of the way you think linearly. Because some people will say, oh, Bashar is saying that never happened to me. That's not what we're saying. We are saying that as you create the story in the moment for the purpose, you're creating that story to help affect certain kinds of changes in your reality and in your world, you are connecting to other people, other versions of yourself that are having those experiences, but they're having those experiences in a different present. Do you understand the difference? We are not saying it didn't happen. We are saying it is happening now in a concurrent parallel reality that you're tapping into in order to bring that story into the present in a way that's powerful and can affect change. So very different than saying, oh, it never happened. We're saying it's happening now.
So, for example, if someone is trying to overcome a phobia, let's say, and they have a story that they're living that it was created this way or that way.
Yes.
But it also provides a specific purpose in the lifetime to pursue overcoming the phobia.
Yes.
And when you have a phobia, one of the important things to remember is that the fear gets amplified by connecting with others that are actually experiencing the thing that you're terrified of.
Yes.
And that
because you're aligning with that frequency.
Right. So it's actually, you're literally tapping into someone that's having some horrible experience.
Yes.
And you're believing that it might happen to you, or it's scaring you to make you think that it will happen to you.
Yes.
Right? So the idea is to recognize that you don't have to make those connections consciously.
It's the negative belief attempting to reinforce itself by allowing there to be a connection to an individual having the experience so that it then seems like it's either actually happening to you, thus you hold on to that fear-based belief, or at least it seems like the potential for it to happen to you is much greater than you originally thought because you're connecting to that experience. But that's the negative belief attempting to simply reinforce itself. You have to see through the smoke and mirrors to know that it's just making a connection, and it doesn't have to be considered an actuality for you just because it might be an actuality in another parallel now.
And I know another thing that happens in therapeutic situations is that it's a syndrome where they say that people start generating memories of trauma that actually never happened to them.
But
they don't know.
That can happen. And again, it's because these things are created in the present. They can do that because they're creating a story in the present that serves them for what process they need to go through to let go of negative fear-based beliefs. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Bashar.
Thank you, Nania.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So nice to be talking to you again.
And you as well.
I have a question about epsilon, epiphany, and eclipse.
Yes.
So they're...
one moment. Okay. Does everybody understand what they are? There are 3 artificial moons that orbit our planet that create a balancing energy that are artificially intelligent. They were created long ago, are also responsible for terraforming our world to make it habitable for us. They were named Epiphany, Epsilon, and Eclipse. They are approximately 75-mile diameter spheres orbiting our world. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So as I recall, a few years ago, they added their energy to our moon.
Yes, they are using your moon as a reflector to bathe your Earth in their frequency to add more stability to the energy of your world as you pass through this transitional time as well, yes.
And that was actually what my question was about. How does that actually stabilize our moon? And does it affect us in other ways, the people on this planet? Are we getting like SSNE energy?
Yes.
Yes,
because we operate through a very stable system of synchronism, it helps stabilize your world to be bathed in that vibration as well. It's like an inducement to go into that frequency. You don't have to do it, but there's an inducement there that's stronger than it was there before. Yes?
Will that help us accelerate in making contact?
What do you think?
I think it will.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Yes, that was easy. My next question is, we discussed once a while ago, a couple years ago, about my contact with a group of, I called them explorers.
Yes.
Okay. Extraterrestrial explorers.
Yes.
Are those Essassani?
Not all of them.
Okay.
Few of them, but
Okay.
not all of them.
All right. So, I wanted to know, I assume I've been in contact with them like pretty much all my life.
Yes, off and on.
Yeah, because one of the things that attracted me to your teachings in the first place was once how straightforward you are and how funny you are.
Oh, thank you.
Funny, haha, not funny,
Nowhere
strange.
near as funny as all of you.
Oh, okay. Well, I like that actually.
Yeah.
But I recall that as a teenager, I went through religious classes.
Yes.
And I was in catechism.
Yes.
And
Nomine Patre et Filii et Spiritus Sancte. Amen.
Amen. And I remember that this is one of the things that attracted me to you, is the fact that you said that we are adding to all that is experience.
Yes.
And I had this amazing thing when I was going through catechism where the other kids in the class would say, "Hey, Carol, get up and argue with the teacher because you say all these crazy things and we
Yes.
really like it and we didn't do our homework and that's how
Yes.
we get out of not doing it."
All right.
And
How creative.
It was because my main thing was that it's like because they urged me to do that,
Yes.
I started talking exactly about what you talk about now, about the fact that I was arguing with the teacher, the minister, about how I thought that we and God were evolving at the same time.
All right.
And then what's the matter with thinking that, you know?
And how did that conversation go for you?
It did not go well. And
All right.
and after a few classes, he wouldn't even pick me when I would raise my hand, and it was very obvious that he didn't want to talk to me.
So was this a tactic on your part not to get called upon?
No, I actually...
I'm teasing you.
Oh, all right. No, but to me, it was a revelation, and he never answered my question.
Because he can't.
Well, he couldn't even conceive of the idea.
That's why he can't.
Right. Which was, but I understood it 100%, and it made complete sense to me.
Yes.
And nobody in my class ever even asked me about it. They just thought I was just talking. But I actually was talking from the heart.
I understand.
Yeah, and I think it was coming from
Your higher self, your fuller self.
Yeah, and also I think maybe my group of people off to the parallel
In
side.
some ways, yes, they're encouraging you.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yes.
And I still feel them, and
of course.
I'm just thrilled that I have this connection with them.
Yes, well, they still feel you too.
Yeah, that's good. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is the last thing because there's people waiting.
Oh, all right. As opposed to something else waiting?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, when you were talking about what's coming up and all the world changes and all the volcanoes and earthquakes.
Probabilities.
Yeah, those are probabilities. Well,
high probabilities as we read the energy, but probabilities nevertheless.
Right. So those are going to cause major earth changes. Is there anything that's going to be revealed, like when you were talking about hidden secrets? I didn't know if you meant political wise, which probably you do. But
we mean it on all levels of your society.
Right. Because in the past you said that some things were going to come to light, and maybe they did and we weren't allowed to hear about them, like
sometimes
about the Alexandria Library and stuff like that.
There are things that have been discovered in your Egyptian area that you haven't been told about.
So they have been discovered.
Some of them, not all of them, some of them, but you haven't been told publicly.
Well, is any of that going to come up? Because if there's major earth changes, are things going to like be spewed out of the earth and thrown up on land?
In a couple of places, there might be enough earth damage that it will open cracks and crevices that might lead to exposure of some of those things here and there, yes.
Ah, that's beautiful. Can you expand on that at all?
I cannot.
Okay. But, okay, I think that's all I had.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I am a strong supporter of recycling.
Oh, all right.
And I practice it, and I observe that many people do not.
Yes.
My question is, would you please comment on its effectiveness and if there's any other things that we can be doing at this time to meet the urgent needs of our planet?
It can be very effective in certain areas. In other areas, it might be what you call too late. But it can mitigate some of the things that are too late if you accelerate in other areas where it is not too late. There can be a balance point that is achieved so that even then the things that are too late that might tip the scale in a certain way won't necessarily be quite as devastating as they could have been because of mitigation in other areas that you can do something about. So it is important.
Can you suggest anything else that we could be doing imminently?
Plant a lot more trees. A lot. A lot, a lot, a lot.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I got into a car accident on the way over here.
How exciting.
Yeah. Blocked pathways, you know, or bumper.
Maybe.
Went right into the front of my car.
All right. What were you doing at the moment?
Well, I definitely wasn't texting.
What were you doing?
I was on my phone. It was totally my fault.
All right.
She's fine. I'm
All right.
fine.
All right. But now you have something you can pay more attention to, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It's going to be expensive.
If you say so. Again, you can trust your synchronicity. If you've learned your lesson and you bring yourself into a positive state with this, knowing that it happened for a positive reason, yes? Let me put it to you this way. How do you know if this didn't happen now, you wouldn't have actually gotten into a fatal accident later by still doing the same thing? Yes?
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it, yes? And that's a way to look at it that brings you back into a positive state, saying, wow, I'm glad this happened this way now, getting me to pay attention, getting me to be in the moment, be present, be aware, be alert, focus on what I'm doing, not what I think I need to be doing instead. And if you learn the lesson and go into a positive state with it, knowing that it happened for a beneficial reason for you, who knows what might happen that can mitigate anything that would cause any kind of stress in your ability to move forward in your life and repair what needs to be repaired, if it needs to be repaired at all. Who knows? Did you ever hear us tell the story of the radio thief?
No.
Friend of the channels, loved music. I'll keep this brief for those that have heard it. Passionate about music. Wanted to get the best possible radio for the car to listen to music through the best possible speakers, the best possible system. Couldn't afford that. Couldn't afford that. But got the next best thing he could afford because he was following his passion and knew that if he couldn't act on his highest passion, he would act on what he could act on next. And he did. Within 1 week, somebody broke into the car, stole the radio, damaged the console. Now, he could have said, oh, woe is me. This is terrible. Why did this happen? I thought I was a good person. Why do these bad things happen to me? But he didn't do that. He understood, all right, there must be a reason for this because I am staying in a positive state. Therefore, I will move forward on what I need to do. Reported the theft, The insurance company paid a certain amount of money to cover the radio he had already bought and enough money to repair the damage to the console. But when he took it to the repair place, they said, this is easy to fix. Boom, boom, it's all done. I won't even charge you. Now he had enough money not only to replace the radio he had, but exactly to the penny, the original radio he wanted. It can happen that way if you stay in the state in which those kinds of things can happen. But if he had said, oh, woe is me, he might have gone to the insurance company. They might not have given him as much money. The repair place might have charged him double because he was in a negative state. But he stayed in the positive state that allowed all the relevant things to come into being and into place to create exactly what he needed. And therefore, in a sense, the thief helped him. He used the thief, who may have been acting out of integrity from a negative fear-based place, but he used the thief to his advantage and got the positive effect because he stayed in the positive state. So you don't know what is actually going to happen to bring you back into center here, do you?
Mm-mm.
Thank you. So learn the lesson. Be thankful it happened this way and not in some worse manner that could easily actually have cost you your life and maybe another person theirs. And learn the lesson and then stay in the positive state, move forward doing what you need to do, and see what happens. You may be incredibly astonished and surprised at how things might fall into place to your advantage if you do. Yes?
Yes.
Is this helpful?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Will that do?
I have
something
another.
else?
I have another question.
Yes.
So, I'm trying to be.
You are what?
Trying to be.
You are what? You are being, or you're trying? There's a difference.
I'm
not being, or I'm being.
I'm not being.
Thank you for your honesty.
I'm not.
That's usually what trying means. I'm not being.
That's absolutely correct.
I know, that's why I said it.
I'm
So,
not being. Oh, sorry.
What are you not being?
I'm not being as content or like as happy as I'd like to be.
And what is stopping you from doing that in terms of the beliefs within you?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Sure you do. All right, I'll put it another way. What would you rather be doing that you're not doing? Or, if you want, what are you doing that you'd rather not be doing? Take it either way.
I guess compromising my happiness to do jobs that I don't necessarily want to do. Yeah.
Do you believe that there are things you would rather do that can support you?
Yes.
Why aren't you doing them then?
Because
I'm afraid that ... fill in the blank.
I won't be able to support myself.
So you don't believe that those things can support you. You just contradicted yourself, yes?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I believe that the things that are passionate for me, you can support me. And then again, I really don't believe that. Is basically what you just said to us.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Sounds obvious now, doesn't it? So the question would be, why don't you believe they can support you? What are the beliefs that you have that say that those things that you're passionate about cannot support you? It's not realistic, it's silly, what?
Not realistic, I guess.
And why not? What is an example of something you would prefer to be doing that you don't believe can support you? Can you give us a specific example of something?
I guess a more creative-centered career.
Well, that was very general. You don't have some specific expression that you'd rather be doing?
Producing fine art, producing art.
Producing art, all right. And so you have a belief that says that that can't support you.
Yeah.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are there people on your planet that produce fine art and are supported by it?
Yes.
So why can't that be you? What's different about you? If they can do it, why can't you do it? What are the reasons you create that make you different from them? Am I giving you something to think about?
Yeah.
Because thinking about these things is also an art. So you need the art of how to think about yourself. And then perhaps you'll be able to allow your art in a different form to support you. But as we said before, to other people, if you don't believe it can support you, don't go there. Because you'll only create misery for yourself. Because you will still hold on to the belief that it can't support you, and then you will actually be trying to have it support you instead of letting it support you. So, but you can act on something. You can begin to do something. You can make time to act on your passion to some degree. And the more you do that, the more you will see that it will prove it can support you. So you can move at your own pace. You don't have to jump immediately. You can say, all right, I don't believe that it can support me right now. You see, you have to be honest with yourself about this. And it's okay to say, I don't believe it can support me. Because then you have something to work with. If you just deny it, if you're just afraid to say it, you don't have anything to work with. You can't move forward. So the idea is to say, all right, I do believe it can't support me. Or if you want, I don't believe it can support me. However you want to phrase it. But then allow yourself to at least give yourself an opportunity to do it when you can. And let it prove to you that it can. Because if it really is representative of your passion, if it's one expression of your passion, then it does have the ability to at least support you in some way. It may not be the only thing that supports you. There may need to be a combination of expressions of your passion working together to fully support you. So don't get confused by the fact that one expression may actually not be capable of completely supporting you and then think that something has failed. You may need to give over to all the expressions so they can work together holistically to support you as a whole. Yes?
Yeah.
Making sense?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
Yes.
Will that do?
I think that's enough, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was looking for to see you.
All right, thank you very much.
When I went to Mont Saint-Michel in France, I
Yes.
went outside alone to see a sunrise or UFO.
Yes.
I saw a semi-transparent orange.
Orangey.
Circle. Sorry.
I went outside alone to see a sunrise or UFO. I saw a semi-transparent
Transparent
orange circle
orange.
in the
Yes,
sky.
yes.
I thought that it was after image after seeing the sun, but the circle did not move even if I moved the eyeball.
Yes.
After a while, the circle moved down and disappeared. I doubt what it was.
Many people see orange spheres. They are projections of intelligence from other dimensions sometimes. They simply translate that way. You could sort of say it's a ship, but it's not exactly a ship as you understand a ship. But it is a cohesive projection of energy that sort of serves as a probe or a ship for a certain form of intelligence from other dimensions. So yes, you could say it was a UFO, if you wish. Does that help?
Yes. And my body core is hard. My body is not relaxing. Breathing is shallow.
Well, are
I'm
you
always
tense
cold.
or stressed in your life?
Maybe.
What can you do in your life that would be more fun?
Okay, so kind of tense. I am always very cold. How can I improve my situation?
What would you like to be doing that's more fun in your life?
Yes.
Go and do something that's more fun.
To see my friend.
Then go do that. And after you're done with that, do something else that's fun. And when you're done with that, do something else that's fun. And keep doing fun things. Yes?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have two daughters.
Yes.
Older daughter's energy, I don't feel.
I'm not feeling comfortable with two daughters.
We cannot discuss this at this time because we would need to discuss this with everyone present to explore many different kinds of things. This is a deeper subject than we have time for now. We apologize.
Okay, I understand.
わかりますか?
はい、わかります。
すごい. Thank you. Arigato. Aveo.
One more question.
Maybe.
Last year, from a healer, I was said that my soul was one of the soul of the 12 apostles of
You are
Christ.
connecting to that energy. It doesn't mean you were them. That's not how it works, because everyone exists at the same time. But you are connecting to the apostolic energy in order to draw from it to help you in this life.
So why did I receive the message?
Because that energy will help you in your life, and you'll figure out why when you go and start doing more fun things. Because you'll be on a correct energy level for that information to come to you.
I understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You may take a short break. We will then resume this transmission for your holotope meditation experience to help crystallize and lock in the energy that will help with the stabilization of your inner core for the days and years ahead. Take a short break. I'll say, let us continue the transmission with the following meditation. All of you, please become comfortable and relaxed. Let go of the cares of the day and begin to just breathe deeply, evenly, easily, softly, gently. Allow your lights to dim. Allow your music to rise and begin to float in the vibrations of the following. Allow yourselves to focus on the holotope before you as the lights play across the images. Allow yourself to relax into your ideal vibration, the frequency, the state of being that to you represents a state of peace, a state of self-empowerment, a state of unconditional support and love, a state where synchronicity pervades every single aspect. And any and all things that need to happen do happen magically. Allow yourself to feel that frequency of your ideal state of inner peace, state of inner power, state of beauty, creativity, communication with the cosmos. Continue to breathe gently, deeply. As you feel that state, let it permeate every cell in your being. Let it immerse you in its warm embrace. You are floating freely on the currents of creation. Now, as you regard the holotope before you and And as you look at the play of light and hear the play of sound, this is an orchestration of chords and strings being plucked that cause vibrations that resonate through you, deeply within you. And as you regard the lines of light and connectivity on the holotope, allow the pattern you see before you to become somewhat transparent so that you can see another holotope beneath it, with all the lines connecting just as the first one does, but it's parallel to it, and another one beneath that, and another one beneath that, and if you wish, even a holotope in front of this one that's also transparent enough to see all of the other holotopes, below and above, the one that you consider to be actually in your reality, physically. But know that all the other ones, above and below this one, are real realities, just as real as yours. Parallel realities that stretch far and wide, deeply above and beneath. Allow yourself to view all of these holotopes stacked in front and behind, going to infinity. Feel the depth of all those different planes, all those different realities, all those parallel holotopes that are themselves connections to other cosmoses, other universes, other parallel experiences, perhaps even with other versions of you in them. And as you do this, allow yourself to feel that resonance again, that vibration of your ideal place, your ideal self. And as you feel that vibration, allow yourself to imagine that that vibration travels through the holotope that is in front of you, down or up to the other holotopes. Let it just travel. Let it illuminate all the different planes and parallel versions that you may perceive in your imagination. Let it go back and forth, traveling up and down, until the vibration that you deem to be your ideal frequency, your core frequency, begins to slow down even as it goes back and forth, and begins to narrow down the field. It might now just be visiting and illuminating a few of the parallel planes and realities. Let it slow down even more, till it finds, till it resonates, till it harmonizes, till it aligns with one of those parallel holotope realities more than another, until you feel a click of synchronicity, where it naturally wishes to align. And feel that holotope, no matter how far down or up it is, or deep it is behind or in front of the one that you started with. Let yourself rest there in that vibration, that reality, that parallel world. For that is the holotope that is in the parallel reality that is more representative of the vibration that you prefer, the version of Earth with that holotope, the version of the room with that holotope. It's a different reality than the one you started in. Stay there for a moment. Rest there for a moment. Feel that vibration. Feel your frequency plucking those chords, those vibrational strings of the interconnectivity of that holotope. See different lights illuminating that holotope. Allow yourself to rest in that reality and just feel the harmony of that frequency reinforcing from the holotope, reflecting to you like a mirror, vibrating to you, a reflection, amplifying and magnifying that vibration of your ideal place, your ideal self. all other realities begin to fall away. And you begin to crystallize that one. You can still perhaps see the other ones, but they become even more transparent, less solid, less having to do with you, the you prefer to be. Just resonate with that particular parallel plane, that particular holotope in that reality. Feel those connections, those strings vibrating, connecting you to that cosmos, to those experiences, to that world, that version of Earth. And let that version of Earth, as you expand your imagination beyond that holotope, beyond that room, outside into that version of Earth, how is it different? What exists there that didn't exist in the version you started in? Let it become more solid. Are there clearer skies? Are there more trees? Is there a different fragrance? Are there different sounds? Do the buildings look different? How is it different? Allow it to be all the things that match the frequency of your preferred version of Earth, no matter what that may be. Float there, stay there, vibrate there, resonate there, feel it, and feel yourself stretch out to that reality, to that planet, to those people, to that environment, to those stars, which are different stars that are in the reality you started with. Different worlds with different beings. That reality, different from the reality you started with. Allow yourself to stretch lines of light and connectivity to all of the so-called pasts and futures of that world that are different than the histories and the futures you may have imagined for the world you started with. Stretch your senses out and incorporate the entirety of that environment, of that reality, into your being. Be a part of that web of life, of that holotope. Allow yourself to feel it, connecting to your heart, connecting to your center. As your mind and imagination ponders all of the things that are unique to that reality, to that version of Earth, allow yourself to feel that you can breathe more fully and be more fully your true self there. For it is the world that is made for you. That is the vibrational frequency of your core, your indestructible core. And that world is made of that energy, of that consciousness, of that energy. You are a being of that earth. Now that you are becoming more familiar with the feeling of that earth and the feeling of yourself in that reality, let it begin to crystallize at whatever pace is comfortable for you. Let it become more real in whatever way that is comfortable for you. You will still retain the ability to connect to any parallel reality, including the one you started with. But this reality now that you know is more truly representative and reflective of who you are, shall always remain a vibration within you, a real place within you. And it shall tug at you and magnetize you and pull you as a current pulls you down a stream more and more to this reality. You will navigate to this reality as you shift through billions of parallel realities every moment. This reality now will crystallize more solidly and more certainly within you, within your being. Like responding to a chime, to a bell, to a note, to a frequency that is truly you. Let yourself fall to that reality more and more often. Let yourself live in that vibration more and more often. Let it be real. Let it be you. It is the world that was made for you. You will share it with other beings that also gravitate to that vibration, to that parallel reality, to that holotope, in that room, on that world, in that cosmos. For it is just as real as any version you have ever experienced. And it is here, and it is now, and it is all within you. Breathe into it. Breathe the atmosphere of that world, and be at peace. Be at peace. Be at peace. And float freely upon the currents of creation. And know that they will carry you exactly where you need to go. You are supported by the unconditional love of existence itself. You belong, and you are free. Drift now in the dreamlike state of your consciousness and imagination, and continue to breathe in the beautiful crystal air of this new world, and know that even though it may seem at the end of this journey that you have come back to the reality you started with, you will know, because of that vibration within your heart, and that vibration within your soul, and that vibration within your imagination, that it isn't so. It's not the same reality. It may not fully yet be the one that you found, the one that is reflective of your preferred self, but you will know that it's not the same one you started with, and you will know that you are one step closer to that world, to that earth, to your true home. One step closer. One step closer. One step closer. And that you have left that other world, that other reality behind. No matter how it may seem, it's not the same world. Do not be deceived by appearances. It is not the same world. It is always new. One step closer. One step closer. One step closer to home. Continue to breathe gently, effortlessly, comfortably, easily, and be at peace. Be at peace. Allow your music to soften. Allow your lights to dim. And just allow yourself to float in the silence and the void. And allow yourself to continue to feel that state of being, that vibration within you, that hum of eternity, the breath of all that is, the heartbeat of existence. Just breathe and be. Just breathe and be. Just breathe and be. No resistance, relax, be at ease, let go. The things that were are no longer. This is a new world, a new reality, a new you. Welcome home. Our unconditional love to you all. Sweet dreams.